This week's Parshas Devarim, Shabbos Chazon, Erev Tisha B'Av. Moshe Rabbeinu speaks to all Klal Yisrael. V'daber Moshe al Kol Yisrael. Says Rashi, what's Pshat by V'daber Moshe Kol Yisrael? He gathered them all. Everybody come in. Says Rashi, why? He says, you know what? Because if he doesn't have everybody come, then some people who are not there will say, you let him tell you that Musar. If I would have been there, I would have answered it like this and told him this. So therefore Moshe Rabbeinu said, okay, everybody come. If you got something to say, I'm all ears. Let me hear you. What do you have to say? Of course, nobody had anything to say. Question is, what does that mean? That sounds almost immature. That what? I wouldn't have let him get away with that. I would have told him this and I would have told him that. What? Klal Yisrael is going to tell lies. Klal Yisrael is going to go ahead and say things that are wrong. That's what Klal Yisrael is about to do. But another question. Why doesn't Moshe Rabbeinu start off saying, Klal Yisrael, you know how great you are? Later on in the Parsha, and in next week's Parsha, Moshe Rabbeinu talks about how special Klal Yisrael is. Why don't we talk about it? Start talking about how special they are. And why does he come to point out all the chatoim? Start off with the positive. Rav Gedai Yeshua brings down, talking about the Churban Beis HaMikdash. He brings from the Maral. Chazal tell us in Yuma Daf Tes that the first Beis HaMikdash was destroyed because people transgressed the Shalosh Averot Chamurot, Avodah Zarah, Gilui Arayos, and Shvichas Damim. Second Beis HaMikdash was Mishkas of Sinas Chinam. So it's a Dvar Pele. In the time of the first Beis HaMikdash, they were so bad that they couldn't keep the three Averos Chamuras. They transgressed Avodah Zarah, Gilui Arayos, Shvichas Damim. They were so bad. Second Beis HaMikdash, they were so much better. Their problem was Sinas Chinam. They didn't do the other Averos. Says the Maral that the Gemara says in the Masechet Sanhedrin that one of the Amoraim was talking about Menashe, the king Menashe. The king Menashe was a terrible Rasha. According to some, the last 22 years of his life he did tshuva, but he was saying, he was ridiculing him. So it says at night, Menashe came to him in a dream, and he said to him, let me ask you a halacha. And he asked him a halacha, and this Amora didn't know the answer. So he says, you ridicule me when you don't even know one of these basic halachas. So this Amora says to Menashe, if you're such a Talmud Chacham, so how come you did so many Averos? So Menashe said, if you had been in my generation, you would have picked up your gown to be able to run faster to run to do Avodah Zarah. That's how strong the Yetzer Hara for Avodah Zarah was. Says the Maral, the first Beis HaMikdash represented the three of us. It was Keneged Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Says the Maral, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov are representative of the three Averos Chamuros. Avram is the Indian of Avodah Zarah, of Chesed. He's the Indian of Gilui of Arayos, is Keneged Arayos. Yitzchak is Keneged Avodah Zarah. Right, he is Ola Tamima for Hashem against Avodah Zarah, and Yaakov is against Ritzicha. Right, Yaakov is against Esav. Esav is the counterpart of Yaakov. You see, is Shofech Damim. Yaakov is. I think that in our terms, what that means is that Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov came to establish a world where they recognize God, where you recognize Hashem. The world was barbaric until Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov came. The world did everything. They had no morals. They had no basic morals by which to live until Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov came and established there's a world of godliness. And because there's a world of godliness, there's morality. Because it's a world of morals, you respect another person's life. Because it's a world of godliness, therefore you don't worship idols. You recognize there's a God. There are rules to live by. That was the first Beis HaMikdash. The first Beis HaMikdash established within a world filled with Avodah Zarah. There is God in the world. That's what the Beis HaMikdash taught the world. Klal Yisrael were tested with a terrible test. The Yetzer Hara of Avodah Zarah. The pshat, the depth of this is that what the Yetzer Hara fights against is that which is your existential purpose. What you stand for is what the Yetzer Hara comes to fight against. The Yetzer Hara is Moser Nefesh to destroy that which you really stand for. You stand for godliness in the world. I'm going to test you against godliness. So how am I going to do it? I'm going to make this terrible Yetzer Hara. I'm going to make you have this drive to go run and bow down to idols and to do Avodah Zarah. Because the Yetzer Hara's effort is to take you away from what your existential purpose is. And that's why, that's where the Iker, after the first Beis HaMikdash, it was established in the world, godliness. Godliness was established. But now we have to establish that there is a leader of godliness, Klal Yisrael. Klal Yisrael, coming back from Bavel, they became from an Am Fazar Mefarad, they became the nation who was a leading nation in the world that they're going to show through their unity. Klal Yisrael is going to unite and they're going to represent Hashem in the world. That's what Klal Yisrael is going to teach the world. We're all over the world in Tzbai Sheni. There's Golas, people are all over the place. But the eyes of the nation, even from secular historians, all the Jews were looking to the Beis HaMikdash because it unified them. The unification of Klal Yisrael, and that's what made Am Yisrael special. We're all together, we all have our eyes tell, we look to the Beis HaMikdash. What does the Yetzer Hara fight against? Achdus. Here the Yetzer Hara says, Sinas Chinam. You can't get along with each other. You're not unified. He takes that which you exist for, that which is your purpose, and that's where he puts all his kaiches to destroy. Right? Moshe Rabbeinu says to Klal Yisrael, I'm pointing at your Averos because that's what the Yetzer Hara is fighting against. Recognize from what he fought against you, know that that's your purpose to go against those things. Because you're going to go to Eretz Yisrael now, you have to know, what do I represent? What do I mean? What's my purpose in life? Look at all these things that the Yetzer Hara fought against you on. And now you know that's what he doesn't want you to do, because that's what you're here to do. And that's his Iker fight. And we have that today as well. We have today in our lives, if we want to think about what's the Iker Yetzer Hara, our existential purpose is to be Klal Yisrael in Eretz Yisrael. With all the miracles, with all the things that we've had, what do we stand for? A democratic nation. That's what we are. The test of what Klal Yisrael stands for is that we are here to be a nation of God, a nation of Torah. And that's all the fight. All the infighting, all the machlokes, all the battles, because the Yetzer Hara knows where to put his finger. He understands that the essence of what we stand for today is Am Hashem, Am HaTorah. Those people who were captured and the Shluyim all said when they were there, lost, separated from anything, what did they start doing? Shema Yisrael. Right? We're Klal Yisrael. Or that essence, that's where the Yitzhara is putting all his efforts to make the pilug, to make the separation among the people, to separate from. Right? Because the Yitzhara fights hardest against what we stand for. That's our job. That's our job in this Tisha B'Av. If we reestablish, if we strengthen ourselves in standing for what our existential meaning is, Be'ezrat Hashem, we can overcome the Yetzer Hara and bring the Gula.